Good day, this is Denver here, and today I'll be looking at the 16 books that changed history. So we usually think, oh, books are harmless, books are innocent, they don't have a great impact on our life, you just read it for enjoyment. But if you look at history, it's books that have changed or transformed history into what is today. So this list 16 books that changed history is actually inspired by Robert B. Downes' book 16 books that changed the world. So let's go to the list. Number 16, Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. It was published in 1925, and you may know that how this book changed history. It resulted in the Second World War. It was one of the books that that was banned in so many countries, and this book actually brought out the philosophy of Nazism, which was very evil. Even though it's in a way a book that caused a lot of destruction, I am including it in this list. Now we'll go to number 15. Number 15 we have Relativity, the Special and General Theories by Albert Einstein. The first part was published in 1905 and later in 1916. So this book also changed physics forever. So everything we know today, Einstein's philosophies regarding atoms, E is equal to mc square, all those things come in this book. And this book talked about splitting atoms, which ultimately led to the invention of the atomic bomb. Of course, you know how atomic bomb changed history, and the nuclear war, the Cold War between USSR and USA during the late part of the 20th century was solely based on nuclear weapons. And Albert Einstein won a Nobel Prize for this work. Now we'll go to number 14. For number 14 we have Geographical Pivot of History by Halford Mackinder. So Halford Mackinder's Geographical Pivot of History said that there's a particular pivot part in the world. What part in the world would dominate all other parts? So this book is actually a revolution in geography, especially in geopolitics. So he believed that the Eastern European part could in one way dominate the world because of its geographical position. So this was misused. This was misused by both Nazism as well as by Russia to spread the ideology of their dominance over the world. So at number 14, the geographical pivot of history. Now we'll go to number 13. For number 13 we have The Interpretations of Dreams by Sigmund Freud, published in 1900. So this book changed psychology forever. So this book led into the development of psychoanalysis. Today we have lots of theories regarding psychoanalysis, ego, superego, and it in a way changed how people viewed psychology. In olden times, people were locked up in mental asylums, or mad people were not seen with respect. So this book in some way brought mad people or people with psychological problems, we could see them from a human light after the publication of The Interpretation of Dreams. Now we'll go to number 12. For number 12 we have The Influence of Sea Power Upon History by Alfred Tyler Mahan. It was published in 1890. So this book talks about the power of navy. How can a nation's navy make the nation very powerful? So this book in a way changed the navy system or navy strategy of USA, Britain, Germany and many other countries. So many countries started making their navies very powerful after the publication of this book. So this was more of a battle strategy kind of book. But this book had a great impact on the world. It ultimately, if you look at the First World War and Second World War, the Navy played an important part, and this book had a role to play in it. Now we look at number 11. For number 11, we have Das Kapital by Karl Marx. So many people would have expected Communist Manifesto to be part of the list, but it's actually Das Kapital, or the Capital, that actually spread communism, the philosophy of Marxism or communism throughout the world. So this book is not just a revolution in politics, it's also a revolution in economics. So you have so many communist nations today. You have so many battles, Cold War between Soviet Union and USA. All these happened because of the influence of Karl Marx, The Capital. And so many policies, government policies which we have today is indirectly based on this book. Now we'll go to number 10. For number 10, we have The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. So this book was published in 1859. So it changed the way we think of the origin of the universe. So people earlier believed in special creation or intelligent design or some theory similar to that. Charles Darwin brought the idea of evolution or natural selection, how humans evolved from other animals, and this actually changed the world. It made the world more humanistic and secular, and so there's a great battle between science and religion. All those things happen because of this book. It changed how we see ourselves. Even it changed how we look at animal rights. So animals, actually we also, human beings are also a kind of animal, and we have evolved from them, so we also should show some kind of sympathy towards them. So this book was a huge revolution in many ways. Now we'll go to number 9. For number 9, we have a novel. So this is the only novel in this list. In this list, I'll be avoiding all religious books, religious text, all those things. But I decided to include a novel. So for 9, we have Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. It was published in 1852. And you know that few years, just 10 years after the publication of the book, slavery was abolished in the USA. So it had a huge impact. So people felt sympathy for Uncle Tom, and it in a way changed people's opinions, and they felt that slavery should be abolished. And people before that thought that, oh, slavery is necessary. If we only with slaves we can get work for cheap labor, etc. So this book actually changed everything. Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Now we'll come to number 8. For number 8, we have a very important book which is related to India. We have Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau. It was published in 1849. So this book was a great revolution, because earlier all revolutions or protests were very, very violent. And whenever there is a rebel action or anything related to protest, it was actually very violent. So this book talks about passive resistance, that you can protest by not obeying. So this book influenced a lot of people, including Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. in their protest for freedom. So this book is a great revolution, not only because it influenced these people. It's also a great revolution because this book talks about democracy in a different way. So earlier people thought that, okay, if a majoritarian government comes to power, we should obey everything because it's the will of the people. But Thoreau says that even we can question such a government based on conscience or morality. If the government does something which we feel is immoral or it's against our conscience, we can go ahead and protest against the government by having sit-ins or non-violent protests using placards, etc. Next, we'll go to number 7. For number 7, we have Essay on the Principle of Population by Thomas Robert Malthus. And you would have heard the Malthusian principle. So this was published in 1798. Essay on the Principle of Population. So this book is here at number 7, not because it influenced Avengers in Infinity War. It's here because it changed how we looked at population. So according to a Malthusian view, population would double every 25 years, and this would lead to famine, death, etc. And it will also lead to a greater poverty. So he saw population growth as a major threat. So you would have heard of China's one-child policy and so many other policies which are used even in India. And this book actually changed so many things regarding abortion laws and use of contraceptives. All these things changed after the publication of this essay on the Principle of Population by Malthus. Next we have number 6. For number 6 we have Wealth of the Nations by Adam Smith. It was published in 1776. So this book, Wealth of the Nations, is like the Bible of capitalism. It talks of so many things like free market, mass production, and how can nations improve their wealth and such things. So this book is a must have if you are a capitalist. And it talks of how how rich people can build their wealth, and how rich people can actually help the poor, in a way help the nation to build up by creating more wealth for the nation. So this book encourages mass production and consumerism. And actually if you look, Das Kapital is a reply to Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. Now we'll go to number 5. For number 5 we have Common Sense by Thomas Paine. It was published in 1776. So this book actually says that colonies should protest against the British government, or colonies should have a autonomy, a kind of autonomy, and this book actually changed history because it influenced the American Revolution, and we know what happened after that. So this book was a bestseller in the USA, and in this book you can find so many egalitarian principles which are used even today. Now we'll come to number 4. For number 4 we have Principia Mathematica by Sir Isaac Newton. It was published in 1687. So you may have known about the 3 laws of motion and the law of gravity. All those things actually come from Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton also revolutionized mathematics with the introduction of calculus, etc. Now we'll come to number 3. Number 3 we have The Motion of the Heart, or De Motu Cordis by William Harvey. It was published in 1628. So this book revolutionized medical science. So you would have heard of cardiology, and this book actually explained how the heart pumps blood to different parts of the body. So this book is a huge revolution in both physiology as well as anatomy. So we have present day modern medicine, or present day modern surgery is actually based on this book by William Harvey. So now today we live in a world where medical science has gone to great heights. So that's possible only because of William Harvey. Now we come to number 2. For number 2 we have On the Revolutions of the Heavenly Spheres by Nicolaus Copernicus. It was published in 1530 and later in 1543. So this book is the book which actually changed the world. Because this earlier people believed that the earth was flat and all the heavenly bodies rotate around the earth. So this book brought the heliocentric worldview, that with the sun in the center and planets revolving the earth. It even brought the idea that the earth is spherical. So this book actually revolutionized science. So many people after this strongly believed in science. They believed that science could offer answers that religion or ethics or philosophy cannot answer. So this book actually put science forward as something that could transform the human race. So this book is definitely number 2. So now we come to number 1. Number 1 we have The Prince, NICCOLO Machiavelli. So this book was published in 1517. So this book is about statecraft, how a prince should gain power and how he should keep power, how he should not wish to be loud but wish to be feared, but at the same time he should not let his subjects hate him. So this book has so many ideas about statecraft, and this book brings out the philosophy that if you are a leader, if you are a prince or a person of authority, you should not believe in morals. In order to achieve your end, you can do anything anything immoral or anything that's against the common ethics to achieve your end. So this book is famous because of its because of the new interest which this book got in the 18th century and later. So this book in a way influenced the French Revolution, American Revolution, Russian Revolution, etc. So the philosophy of the book is that the end justifies the means. So in order to achieve the end, if your end is communism, a communist state, you can do anything to satisfy the you can do anything to achieve that particular aim. If your end is a fascist state or the triumph of Nazism, triumph of Germany, you can do anything to achieve this. So this book actually influenced Hitler a lot. So this book even influences people even today. So that's why this book is number 1. So thank you.